I'm Beanuts, and today we'll be looking at the 1:100 scale no-grade Grimgerde from Bandai. This one comes from HobbyLink Japan, and I have to admit it is not a straight build, as I have done some painting. Some of them you may have noticed is already on the Valkyria blades there. You may want to take a look at the way they are naturally. Here they are from the HG kit. Not all of the piping on the HG kit is white like that. Now, in taking off all the accessories to look at just the mobile suit itself, one thing that you notice again is that there are only 2 hand covers for the hands that are on the mobile suit at all times, which means that if you want to change the hands that you're using, you will have to take them off and then switch them around in order to put them on. And you do get 2 pairs of hands with these, the open hands and the holding hands, and that's it. But having those open hands is very much appreciated, especially since Bandai has not tended to include anything but holding hands with the HG IBO kits, and the same is true of the HG Grimgerde over there. Looking at the design of the Grimgerde, we have something which is, at least to me, very simple but also elegant at the same time. You have a nice deep red as well as the dark gray or black there. And I have to admit, I repainted that. The AHAB reactor is now quasi-GN drive. You have simple armor pieces on top of the Valkyria frame. This Grimgerde certainly emphasizes speed over power, but it's also very, very well executed and rendered. You have some very good panel lining opportunities, as well as any other detail you may want to put in. You can weather it, you can repaint it, as I've seen some other people do, and you have all the white piping in the appropriate places. In the back of the legs, the chest, the front of the arms, so those do not have to be repainted. And on top of that, you have black shins, the white feet covers, and you have the clear visor, which is missing from the HG, but it's here in all its glory. And then you have the clear piece and the sticker behind the grill there. And if you open that up, then you get the mono eye in there as well. And if you're only looking at the inner frame for this, I simply can't help but be reminded of a droid from Star Wars when I look at that thing. Both Mobile Suit Gundam and Star Wars have been around since the late 70s. Articulation-wise, of course, that helmet can open and close. The head can go down that far. You can go up that far. You can tilt side to side. The rabbit ears are kind of loose. You also provoke the image of the Valkyrie. It can not turn all the way around before impacting the collar, and that might be trouble getting it in, but it can go all the way around. And then you have the arm. It can go up that far before the shoulder stops it. Can go around, and you do have to be a little bit careful with the shoulder or it will pop up. The arm can only go that far. Bend is very nice at 2 points. Doesn't really have much trouble even with the bulk of the shoulder. and goes around like that. If you don't have the body in the way, it would go around the entire way. And you don't really have to worry about that. The waist unit rotates, and there goes one of the ears all the way around. Probably not gripping it in the right place. There we go. Stomach crunch. It's very nice. Allows for a lot of movement there. Also, the vents on the back can go up that far and down that far. One thing that I really like is that there is no really complicated back cable. It's very simple there. This is completely stationary. Side skirts go out and back and forward. They're on a very interesting joint there. Front skirt wiggles a bit back and forth and goes forward like that and back down like that for no particular reason that I can discern. Legs go up almost, pretty much perpendicular. There goes the shoulder. Goes back only that far before it encounters the rear skirting. You can see how the side skirt is connected to that, so it can get out of the way however much you want or need. Goes forward for one of the highest kicks in Gundam history. Knee bend. Get that out of the way. Is very nice. As well as a little bit of armor separation there. And then ankle, a little bit of tilt, goes down that far, forward that far, and a little bit of toe action as well. And that might just be a loose toe. Well, actually, that's got a bit of a hinge in it, I think. Unless I've been unintentionally loosening that. So articulation on this is, I believe, excellent. And since the shoulder is on that bar there, it can get out of the way like that. But it doesn't really do all that much. It just keeps on separating there. So it's up to you whether or not you actually want to use that aspect of this mobile suit. Since this is the first build from IBO that I'd ever gotten, it was a very interesting experience, but it was also a bit of a challenge. I had never had to put on something like this, and it was very tricky for me to align these armor pieces so that they would connect and then go over the knee guard. But a little patience, and I did get it in due time. And you will find that probably as a challenge if you have never built an IBO model before. Now for the accessories, you saw some of them already. The holding hands, which you can use to hold any of its weapons. You have the Valkyria rifle, which has a pretty simple design, as well as this ammo drum, which fell off as I was taking it out of the hand. Well, it resembles pretty much a Tommy gun. The stock can be folded and the drum goes to the side for storage, and it can go onto the back skirt. There's that hole there, and it stores upside down just like with the high grade version. It hopefully doesn't look as long or as awkward without the longer shaft there. This handle moves. That is just a separate piece, so it reconnects into this hole. And that's pretty much that for that. It does somewhat recall the rifles that the Zaku used. And this also, the Grimgerde itself, recalls somewhat with its color Char's Zaku 2, and also has design elements that remind people of the Tuggies, but it most reminds me of the Inept from Gundam 00. Then you get two Valkyria shields, and these have a nice black backing for some little detail there, and these connection points move around a bit as well as you can swivel them, and they've got a swiveling mounting point on the underside of the shield for the swords as well. These are separate pieces that come with the underside, so they already have that detail on them. And this is a sticker on the high grade. I believe, I don't remember anymore, it's a separate piece here. And you could easily pretend that's an knife field generator because that's what it reminds me of. And you simply plug them in to the arm. Like that. And actually I may have, well, I think those are the correct sides. Because when the swords go in and they're stored backwards, the blades would be visible on the underside. Speaking of, we have two Valkyria swords. As I said, that isn't their natural golden color. I painted them, make them stand out more, and given them a bit of a GN edge as well. They mount to the underside of the shields through that thing, but they can also be put into the hands, and they've got that peg there. If you're thinking that peg there is kind of on the odd side, you're hardly alone. If it was to be held with the peg in, it would be held sideways like this, and not the right way around. But here, you have it in the hand, it's maybe a little bit loose. It holds it well enough, and you can just pull out the hand, switch the hand cover of course, which I'm not going to do right this moment. There goes the shoulder again. And then it's holding a sword. I am going to put the gun back into the hand, and I've already switched the hand covers there. And you don't really have to take the hand apart, and just wiggle this in, and the tab here just holds it there because I'm holding it with the opposite hand, and it was perhaps originally intended to go with. Just trying to make sure that it doesn't pop off. And pop that on, that's tight. Nice and tight. You want it to be able to hold. And that's holding the gun. And of course, the main thing that you can do with the swords is store it onto the shields. And like I said, you can do that by putting it onto the clip. They just slide very simply on, and there's a little rocker in that holding point. And just like on the show, you can just rotate that backwards and forward. And this would be in its stored mode, and then you can rotate it out It looks like he wants to actually grab the blade, but it can be, the handle can actually be behind his hand, and then he can use it just like that as well. You see that coming at you. I don't think he wants to be in the way. And one sword's still down. But you can flick it up and flick it on and off, just like in the show when he did that. So again, very simply, I've already got the gun on, and that is just like that. Is the Grimgerde ready for battle? But then, of course, in order to get him into such aerial poses and hold them there, if not actually holding them there, you have a 1:100 master grade type adapter for the stand. And there we have him, action pose and all. And then very simply, if I wasn't very clear before, here is the adapter. It's mounted to the section which is actually a little bit narrower. And I don't think when you're trying to put it on, you can actually miss that it's supposed to go there, because it won't go anywhere else. Now I should probably warn you that while posing and playing with this, you will occasionally have the sword mountings and sword themselves pop off, but that can also be all part of the Gunpla experience, as you have seen other parts such as the shoulders and the antenna also pop off. It's really nothing deal-breaking, and you'll find it in a bunch of models, other models too. Speaking of other models, how about some comparisons? Well, first, the only other official UC1 sort of that I have with the I-Field generator, the SD Legends Unicorn full armor, meat shields, or how about Karta's Gray's Ritter, the same unit that McGillis himself would later pilot, in 1/144th scale. But this is 1:100 scale, so how tall does my Star Wish compare? Minus the antennae, I think they're almost the same height. But how about the Red Comet's original nemesis, the RX-78-2 Gundam The Origin, Master Grade? The Grimgerde is a bit taller. And for a last comparison, how about something vaguely Figma-ish? Our old friend, the AGP Gore Magella. That's going to be a significant height difference any way you cut it. So I think there's still one question in your mind. Despite this being perhaps one of the coolest, one of the best designs to come out of Iron-Blooded Orphans, this question would be, is it worth getting the 1:100 scale Grimgerde, or should I go with the safer option and get the HG instead? My answer to you is the answer that I believe anyone should give. It's really up to your personal taste as well as what you can afford. However, do keep in mind that there are some things you will find in the 1 to 100 there that you will not find in this high grade. For example, the high grade doesn't have the rotating mounts and some of the details aren't there, including that visor. But if you don't mind and if you want a smaller model, you can certainly go with the high grade. But if you want something that's more detailed and which you can get a little bit more, slightly more, not that much, posability and options out of, because this drum moving and the stock folding are also things that the high grade doesn't have, go for the 1/100th. Go for the no grade. Because this is one of those examples where I believe the 1 to 100th option outshines the high grade completely. But again, that depends on your taste and what you can afford. And admittedly, I got this on sale. The reason I have both models here is because I've actually auctioned off the high grade in my Toastmasters clubs and the person who won it hasn't claimed it yet. In my opinion, however, the 1 to 100th no grade is definitely worth it, especially if you're able to get it on sale. It may stand out among my other models because the only ones in that scale are my Star Wish and the Gundam The Origin, but it also, because it stands out more, it has that much more appeal and presence on my shelves. And besides that, there's more to it than in the high grade, and I really appreciate that. The only other model that I have that feeling about is the Full Mechanics Vidar, because it has things on it that don't really work on the high grade, especially the binders and the saber mounts. But other than that, if there weren't these other features, I probably would have gone with the high grade. Most of my other models are 1 to 1/44th scale, so that would make sense. Can I recommend this? Most definitely. Especially if you can find a better way to afford it. Because this is my favorite design out of IBO. It's the one which I find the coolest and has the most appeal. Although I will most likely be getting some other IBO model kits later on. I have auctioned it off. I will not be reviewing the high grade, unless of course I was to get another one. That about wraps up this review of the 1 to 100 scale no grade Grimgerde. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know your support or your comments below, and subscribe if you'd like to support me in my efforts. And also let me know any requests you might have, something on my shelf or something that I may be about to get you'd like to see reviewed. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!